And welcome in, everyone, to another week in the locker room. And what a week of basketball we've got in the Hoosier State. The high school girls season has reached the semi-state round of playoffs, and we'll, of course, preview those matchups later in the evening. But the boys teams are approaching their final week of regular season play, and one Northeast Indiana Conference race is still up in the air tonight. One of Fort Wayne's biggest rivalries could decide it. It's the Carroll-Homestead rivalry. Of course, it's our Friday face-off, as this game could determine the fate of the 2026 SAC title race. A Homestead win earns them a three-way share of the conference crown. A Carroll victory in hostile territory shakes up the title race. We got some dancing going on early, but it's the Spartan star, Mac Welker, honored pregame for reaching 1,000 career points, and he did not miss a step from the jump, drilling the jumper on the opening possession. Homestead out to an early lead. Carroll had answers, though, particularly on defense. Jack Van Order reads the pass perfectly, comes up with the steal up the court himself. No one can catch him as he lays that in and gives Carroll their first lead of the game. But it certainly wouldn't be the last, because Carter, Middleton, and Brody Fisher, check out the pick and roll play, executed to perfection, but the block by Welker back into the hands of Fisher. He sticks with it, finishes at the rim. Great determination from him. It was an electric environment on the court tonight, with this game coming down to the wire, but it's the visiting Chargers picking up that rivalry win, 48-46 the final. So here is how the SAC title race is going to shake out now. Carroll's win knocks Homestead out of that race altogether. They can't win it anymore. Carroll still has a chance, but they play Bishop Luers next Friday. A Chargers win would create a three-team tie atop the standings. Southside will be rooting for Bishop Luers in that game, though, because the Archers hold the tiebreaker over Snyder if it ends up being just those two teams at top. All right, let's check in on the rest of the conference now. We've got Southside hosting Wawasee tonight, and this was a close game all the way through in non-conference action. Warriors lead by 3 in the third until Kendrick Alexander Jr. strips the ball loose, dives on it up to Javon Irby, over to JT Timberlake Johnson, and we have a one-point ball game on our hands in the third quarter. But Wawasee not letting up either. Nolan Holsworth drives to the hoop, absorbs the contact, sinks the layup anyways. The Warriors are building their lead back up after he converts the and one, and then in transition, Holsworth finds Jack Shoemaker up the court, the shot fake, then the lay-in is good. Wawasee gets their lead to 7 entering the fourth quarter and holds on to beat this very good Archer squad tonight. Elsewhere in the SAC now, we've got Bishop Luers battling Northside and Baihei Arena. It's the Knights staying above 500 in conference play, while nearby Wayne took on Concordia, where the Generals take charge of the Cadets 76-46. Then at Northrop, Bishop Dwenger battles the host, and it's the Saints picking up their second conference win of the season. And we've got a non-conference tip-off at Snyder. The Panthers win the Battle of the Big Cats on Kilmer Court. All right, to the NECC we go next. Fairfield's long shot conference title hopes require a win tonight, facing Cherubusco, and the Falcons standing tall on defense. Parker Smith with the block. Fairfield holding a lead, but check out Cherubusco not giving in. Freshman Blaine Wilson for 3. That is good. Nice play by the Eagles, but in the end, this one was all Fairfield tonight. Fourth quarter, Falcons up big. Parker Smith gets the steal, poked out by Drew Beachy. Fairfield takes this one down the floor, sets up the offense. Brent Garber over to Beachy for 3, and that one is through. Cherubusco held at just 20 points tonight, as Fairfield's title hopes are still alive. They need Fremont to upset Westview next week to do it. Now, in the meantime, the Eagles are looking for their first conference win against Central Noble. First quarter here, the Eagles flexing the defense. Caden Grimm with the block. Eagles lead it heading into the second quarter. And how about Central Noble's Kyle Nafel? The give to Merrick Malcolm, right back to Nafel. He gets the lay-in to go. Fremont is going to try to respond on the other end, but Nick Freeman gets the block. Big day for the senior tonight. Late in the half now, and Fremont trying again to drum up some offense. This time, Grimm is good from 3. The Eagles tie it up. They would take the lead into halftime, but in the end, it's Central Noble fending off Fremont tonight and keeping the Eagles winless in NECC play. As for Westview, well, they took on Goshen in a non-conference clash, and the Warriors extending their winning streak up to 19. Goshen struggles continue. Then in the battle for third in the NECC, Lakeland takes sole possession of bronze after tonight's narrow and low-scoring victory. Eastside takes on Angola. We've got the Hornets picking up a dominant win, their 3rd in a row. And in non-conference play, NE8 runner-up DeKalb takes on Garrett and takes them down in this late-season matchup. Then the NE8 lined up a few teams against the AC. AC tonight, we've got Belmont Jay County and New Haven, your winners in that series right there, giving the NE8 that 2-1 advantage in the evening. Now NE8 runner-up Columbia City, they visited top 10 ranked Northridge, but the Eagles fall short in that one by 11. Then rounding out our NE8 coverage, Huntington North picks up win number 13 on the season, this one dominant against Tippy Valley. Then some of the smaller class schools around the region, South Adams, Blackhawk Christian, and Whitco, all picking up some momentum entering the final week of this season. And rounding us out, a pair of schools in Wabash County, TRC runner-up Southwood takes care of business against Northfield, and the reigning 2A champs Manchester host McConaughey. The Squires getting hot at the right time, winners of 7 of their last 8 games. Finally, we've got our Warsaw teams, the Tigers tamed by the Raiders of Harrison out in West Lafayette, and Lakeland Christian taking a trip to Greentown to challenge Eastern, but it's the Comets shining in this one. All right, speaking of Comets, well, high school basketball wasn't the only sport in action tonight, as Fort Wayne's hockey team has been red hot as of late. Winners of 4 straight entering the night, so can they make it 5 in a row on the road for the second time in a 3-game set against Norfolk? Let's find out. The Comets facing off with the Admirals this evening, and they did not wait at all to get the scoring started. Just 30 seconds into this game, and that's Austin Magera finding the back of the net. That launches a very high-scoring first period, because later Trevor Janicki is able to win the race to this loose puck and score for the second Comets goal of the game. He'd end up netting 2 on the night, but this scoring was not the focus. That's because a high-scoring, action-packed, and often aggressive game led to a massive fight in the second period, earned a combined 8 penalties in that fight alone. In the end, this game needs overtime, but it's the Admirals ending the Comets' win streak. And we can't wrap up tonight's coverage without mentioning the biggest game in the state. Indiana and Purdue men's basketball, Part 2. Boilermakers get revenge on their rivals, blowing out Indiana. Homestead grad Fletcher Lawyer scored 18 points on a perfect night of shooting and what will likely be his final Indiana-Purdue matchup. We'll, of course, be following semi-state tournaments throughout the weekend and have full recaps on Monday, but basketball is not the only sport preparing to crown champions. The boys wrestling state tournament began this afternoon, and we've got the winners of today's bouts advancing into tomorrow's quarterfinals. Here's a look at who remains in these weight classes. Harris, Douglas, Ogg, Davidson, and Carter on the lighter side of our matches. And then, as we get into our heavier weights, we've got Shortgen, Biddle, Gall, Fielden, and Palacios all rounding that out. Adams Central, the only Northeast Indiana school with multiple wrestlers still competing. State champs going to be crowned tomorrow. So with that, it's time to take one more look back at our play of the night. And this week, we go back out to Homestead, where the Carroll Chargers spoiled their rival Homestead's party. Jack Van Order, one of the key reasons why. This steal and score by the junior in the first quarter gives Carroll its first lead, but certainly not its last. Carroll now has a shot at sharing the SAC crown entering the final week of play, but their rivals do not after tonight's, some would call it, upset.